It is summertime, y'all, and I know that there are some of you that have been enjoying summer for a good month now. That's the dog. There are others of you that are just getting ready to start your summer. And today my family is heading off to the beach for a week-long vacation, and it finally feels like summer for us. And it really got me thinking about just being able to get things done, how to stay productive over the summer, how to accomplish everything that I need to accomplish before August arrives. Because as soon as August hits, let's be honest, it gets really crazy, and I want to make sure that I am like on top of my game. So in this video, guys, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 tips on how to have the most productive summer yet. Okay, so my first tip that I have for you guys is one that's going to come of no surprise. It is to create a book list for you to be able to grow professionally, but also in those leisure books that you find that you just want to read because you're interested in them. So I'm going to share with you the books that I am pulling for this summer that I want to read for the summer, but I'm also going to share with you one other thing. So the first thing that I end up doing when I pull out my book list is that I actually have the book in hand. I don't try to typically put books on my list that I don't physically have, because I'm going to tell you right now, I never end up reading those books because they're not in front of my face. So for me, my bed is just right here, and this is kind of like my little book area that I keep some of my professional development books, things that I want to reference to as I'm either planning, because I plan on my bed, y'all. But what I typically will do is I put all of the books that I know that I want to read up here at the very top, and then as I read them, I will start to transfer them down here. These are the ones that I need to take back to school, but I was bringing them here just to be able to reference them. So there are some that just stay on my shelf. There are others that are going to go back to school. So as I read the books that are on my list for this summer, I'm going to put them down into the shelf that it needs to go into. So I wanted to share with you some of the books that I have. Now, I try to do a wide variety of books. I don't typically just try to do chapter books that I want to read in my classroom, but I also try to do some professional development books. I do picture books. I have a little bit of a variety that I try to put into there. Another thing that I want to mention about just chapter books that I am going to read into my classroom is that I try to pick books that I know for a fact that I really want to encourage kids to read. So I am very strategic with the books that I end up picking out, because those are going to be the books that I put front and center in my classroom. I'm talking about it a lot. I'm using it as examples inside of my small groups when I'm talking with my students, so that I can tell them and get them excited about the book as well. So I try to be very strategic with the books that I'm going to end up picking out. So here's what I have selected for this year. So there are a few of these which, if you've seen this series, it is a series that is on, how would I mention this? It is the evil character's perspective. It is the story of the evil character in those like traditional fairy tales. So like Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast, all of those. I have like the little series set, but I'm only going to read one of them right now. And I'm actually taking one of these to the beach with me, and I'm going to read Fairest of All. This is the one I think I'm the most excited about, just because I really do love Snow White. I am going to read this one as I head out. So I have this one kind of stacked in another pile. But I also have these that I have not read. I am hoping to read a couple of them. I know for a fact that I'm not going to be able to read all of them. So I've kind of put some of them aside. The other one that I want to read is the Mistress of All Evil. And then I also want to read The Beast Within, because I'm a Beauty and the Beast fan. So those are kind of my top 3. If I can get to the other 2, I will be super stoked. If not, it is what it is. So I'm going to place this one back here. I'm going to put these up here at the very top, because those are the ones that I want to try to read. I also want to read Restart this year, which is a book about a boy who ends up getting like a head injury, and he was the bully, and so now he's like almost getting a restart to his life, but everybody in the school is pretty much afraid of him. So interesting book. I'm excited to read this one. And then I also have Wish Tree, which was a book that one parent purchased for me at the Scholastic Book Fair, so I was excited. And then I have one other chapter book that I wanted to read. I try to do things that are reasonable for me, that I know that I'm going to be able to get done for the summer, and if I have more time, then I'll select more books. So my partner was doing this as like a group book, like book reading, and it looked really good. The kids were talking about it. It got me interested, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna really like this. So this book is called A Night Divided. If you guys have read any of these books, I would love for you guys to tell me what your thoughts were on them. But yes, so those are my chapter books that I'm gonna end up reading. Then I have some professional development books that I have. There are a couple of them that are on my iPad, so I don't necessarily have it like right here because my iPad is like downstairs getting packed up. But I do have The Construction Zone, which is one that I am for a fact going to be reading while I'm at the beach. And then I also got this book in March, which when I went to Miami for the Impact Driven Teachers Conference, I got to meet Kim Bearden, and I got a copy of her book, Talk to Me. So I'm going to read this one as well. I'm going to take this with me on that little trip. And then I have a few others. I got Lucy Calkins' book, Leading Well, and then my principal gave me the book Learning Transformed, which is another book that I wanted to end up reading. So those are kind of my professional development books for this time around. And I think I have one more on my Kindle, and that one is called, oh my goodness, now I can't even remember. I don't know. All right. I do have another one that's on my Kindle. It is about game-based learning, and I think that's what it's called, game-based learning. And I have that on my Kindle device too. So I have those books that I do for a fact want to read. And then I have some picture books that I've purchased last year through like the Scholastic Book Fairs, you know, for finding things that are on sale, but I never really had the opportunity to read them. And I want to figure out how I can use them inside of my classroom. So one of the books is called Ruth and the Green Book, which I thought was really interesting as I was kind of flipping through it and then reading the back as well. I thought it looked really interesting. So I'm going to read that one. The book called The Storm Book, which I read the first like page, and it had a really good description, like it was descriptive words, descriptive writing. I thought it was fantastic with just kind of giving me the setting of what was happening. Plus I love storms. I secretly wanted to be like a tornado chaser. Fun fact about me. Also, I got the book Hansel and Gretel, found this one at Second & Charles on sale, so I had to do it, especially if I'm going to be focusing a lot on fairy tales next year. The Crow Call by Lois Lowry, and I'm excited about this. I did see that somebody else had it on Instagram. It looked really interesting. I love Lois Lowry, so I'm excited to be able to read this book. And then of course I got another one that was on sale, and this one is called Edmund and the White Witch, but it is a picture book version of it, and I was super excited, so I ended up grabbing this one. And then I thought that I had this book, but apparently I don't have I've never read this book, although I've had it like for years, y'all, and I don't think I've ever read it. I thought I did, but I kept getting it confused with a different one. This one is The Patchwork Quilt. So I have these picture books that I'm going to take with me and read these again while I'm at the beach for this next week, trying to attempt to relax. So yeah, that is kind of my first tip for you guys, and I wanted to share some of the books that I was reading. But create a book list, but not only have that book list, but make sure those books are physically in your possession, that you have them and you know for a fact that you can pick them up at any second and start reading them. And then also create some sort of a system for you to read them. So all of the books that I want to read are up here, and then as I finish them, I will move them down to the appropriate shelves for me to put them back to where they need to go. So that is my first tip for you all. The second tip that I have, it goes along the exact same lines of having a book list, but this is to also create some sort of a list of those big to-dos, those big tasks that you can never really get to during the school year because, well, it either took too much time, you needed more opportunity to sit down and really think about it, or you needed to prep all of the materials, whatever it is, create some sort of a, what is it that I need to focus on and get done? Now, I'm not gonna say to focus on the entire year because that's a little bit much. Really, I want you to focus on the first quarter, the first semester, the first trimester, whatever it is that your school goes by. For me, I'm really looking at what are gonna be my first 10 days gonna look like. You know, what are those first 10 days gonna look like for me? What do I want my kids to be able to do? Going ahead and finding some of those activities now. What do I want my curriculum to look like? What is the focus of my curriculum that I'm gonna have? And if I'm really thinking about fairy tales, I'm already starting to pull some of those texts that I want them to have. Thinking about routines and procedures. What is it that I really want to focus on that I can spend the majority of my time getting done? For me this year, it really is focusing on my math curriculum, getting together all of my unit books that have all of the answers pre-done in there. So I don't have to stress about that at the beginning of the year. That also allows me to go ahead and quickly grade and give feedback to my students so I have it already prepped and ready to go. Another thing for me is my ELA curriculum. I really want my weeks going ahead and having those planned out. So looking at like my progression of what I want my weeks to look like and starting to plan some of those materials already. My PBL, what do I want my PBL to look like this year? And what do I want to focus on at the very beginning of the year? So I'm already thinking of some of those really big items, those items that take up a lot of my time, a lot of my energy to be able to get those done now during the school year. Focusing on the very beginning of the year. I would say at least the first 3 months of school. And then once you have those 3 months under your belt, you really can start planning it for the rest of the year as you start to kind of get your wind back from the first like month of school basically. So that's going to be my first one. I also have it on my phone. All I did was create like a little notes page. I did a summer to-do list, wrote down some of those things that I really wanted to focus on for this year, this summer, to really spend my energy and my time being able to plan out. So that is my tip for number 2, is creating some sort of a list that you want to have and also prioritizing that. Making sure that you're getting those bigger items that you absolutely need to accomplish this summer at like no negotiating there, done, and then you can work on some of the rest of the items if you have time. So that is tip number 2, and I am a sweaty mess because we are about to get ready to load up in the truck to head towards the beach. We have made it to the beach, y'all. I already changed because I'm hot. But the boys have gone down to the beach with some other family members because we are here with a group of our family, and they're kind of scoping things out, checking out the water, checking out the sand. I went over there for just a teensy little bit, and it was really nice. But I figured what I would do is, now that I've unpacked everything, I was going to share with you guys tip number 3 for making this summer productive. So tip number 3 is going to be time blocking. So keeping some sort of a schedule-ish, and I'm gonna say ish because we all know how summers tend to be. You end up getting some play dates in there, you end up going somewhere, but you wanna try to maintain some sort of a schedule-ish. You can do this by having your times blocked. You can also do this by theming your days, and I'm gonna tell you about that in just a second. So keep some sort of a schedule. I have tried to keep somewhat of a schedule for myself. I wake up around 6:30. So I got up at 7 this morning because we were out really late last night. So 7:15. But I normally try to wake up anywhere from between 6:30 to 7 o'clock. I do everything that I need to do in the morning. I take Walter outside to go to the bathroom. I will feed him. I will get ready. And then I will have some quiet time before the rest of my family ends up waking up. But this is a really good time for me to try to map out what are the tasks that I want to be able to accomplish for the day. So I try to keep that sort of schedule that I typically would do during my work days here during the summer as much as possible. even while I am here, y'all, like at the beach, I'm gonna try to keep some sort of a schedule as well. I'm gonna try to have some time set aside for me to be able to do some schoolwork. I'm gonna have some time set aside to do some business work. And this is where I come into like theming my days. So in order to kind of help your mind stay on focus and stay tasked, a lot of the times when we have all of these different tasks that we want to complete, you lose focus, you start to feel very like disheveled, you start to feel very overwhelmed, and so a lot of the times you end up kind of shushing it off to the side. So instead of doing that, you want to theme your days. And so maybe on Monday, you really want to focus just on ELA pieces. So what are some of those ELA pieces that you really want to kind of try to accomplish, get done? Maybe it's just that you're going to end up reading, and that is totally fine. Maybe on Wednesdays, you're going to focus a lot more on pulling some resources and finding those resources and uploading those resources to wherever it is that you need to upload those documents. But theme your days so that when you sit down for those, you know, 1, 2, 3 hour period blocks that you have kind of blocked out from your day, you are very focused on the task at hand, and you can get that accomplished so much more quickly versus having to change from math to reading to writing to doing, and it just starts to get really discombobulated. So I have themed my days based on doing some schoolwork. I have themed my days towards some of my businesses that I've been working on. So theme your days so that you can be a little bit more focused, and then have blocks, like time periods, where you can sit down and just focus and work. Make yourself a cup of coffee, get yourself a little snack, sit in front of your computer, put your cozy pants on, whatever it is that you need to do, but sit down to try to get your things focused and done. So what I have tried to do is I get my boys to do certain independent activities, and when they're doing those independent activities, I have the ability and the opportunity to be able to sit down and work. So I have kind of a 3-hour chunk time blocked off right after breakfast, and the boys are kind of off doing their own little thing. I also have that time at, like early in the morning when I do wake up, that I'm able to work. So maybe that's about another hour in there. So that's so far that's 4 hours of work. And then I try to do maybe about another hour to 2 hours of work towards the afternoon, where I can sit down and just kind of focus on some of the assigned tasks that I want to be able to get done. And already that is 6 hours that I have kind of blocked off throughout the day, but they're during certain periods. So I don't feel like I'm sitting down and just doing 6 hours of work all in one chunk. It's kind of spread out, and I have my little breaks to be able to go and spend time with my family, and I don't feel like, you know, oh, schoolwork has just overcome and overtaken my entire life. So theme those days, and then block off some of those times and create some sort of a schedule-ish. Right now, I'm on the ish this week, but typically we do have a very like regimented schedule when we are at home, which is what we've been doing for the past like week and a half, and it's worked out fantastic for us. Fantastic. So that is your tip number 3. Okay guys, so I wanted to share with you tip number 4, which is to start prepping your back to school items now, before August preferably. So if you are lucky enough to go ahead and have your roster for you to be able to start making some of those labels, getting those materials together, I would start doing that now so that you have a much less stress-free type of beginning of the year. I don't really know where I was going with that. But if you do have that list, I would go ahead and get started doing it. Thinking about what are all of those items that I know that I need to prep at the beginning of the year, because y'all, it's a lot of stuff. If you have mailboxes, you have to print out mailboxes. You have to have labels for one thing. You have to have labels for another thing. And you want to make sure that you already have those done so that you are stress-free. Now, I remember in kindergarten, I went on ahead and I had their names already done. And then when I got the opportunity to truly meet them, I would take their picture and I would just go ahead and cut out their picture like in a circle and put it next to their name. So that way I did have some of it done, but not all of it, because I still needed their pictures because some of them didn't recognize their names. Now in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade with my multi-age class, I don't have that issue. All I have to do is just print everything out and make sure I have all of their labels ready to go for the beginning of the year, so I don't have to stress about it. I think that that was one of the biggest things that I felt like as soon as school started, if I didn't have a certain label done, y'all, it took me ages to get that label finished. I don't know why. Maybe it was because it was just one of those really crazy times. But if you go ahead and start prepping those materials now before August, you can really focus on what's going to be most important. Building those relationships at the beginning of the year, really focusing on getting to know your kids at the beginning of the year, and focusing on the curriculum, because that's what where our attention needs to be going, not to all this other stuff that just kind of consumes our time. Now, if you have my digital planner, in that digital planner is a beginning of the year checklist, and this checklist, y'all, it has everything for you to be thinking through. The labels that you need to think through, the parent forms that you need to think through, anything school supplies related, anything that you could possibly need to have prepared for the beginning of the year is on that checklist. So I am already starting to use that checklist to start marking things off to make sure that I have all of these materials ready to go before August shows up. That way, my head and my focus and my attention can be on things that are more important. So go ahead and really start focusing on getting all of those items prepped now. Now, the last tip, and I'm just gonna go ahead and share with you the last tip because I think this tip is really important. The last tip is for you to truly rest and to give back to you. This vacation is definitely one of these times for me to really rest and really kind of get myself back a little bit of that time where I just need to think about me instead of always trying to do work. So rest, give back to you, put that into your schedule, create a time block for you to just rest and relax if that's the case and you need to do that, but give back to you. These 5 tips are really and truly supposed to help you to be the most productive, but I don't want you to overly consume your time with focusing on work and focusing on your classroom decor and all the materials and everything that you need to get done, because I promise you guys, if you are brand new teachers out there, you're not going to get everything done. All of my veteran teachers tell the new teachers they're not going to get everything done. You won't. There's no possible way. As soon as you get something done, something else is going to pop up. And y'all, I have truly learned that over these past 8 years of teaching that no matter what I do, I always seem to truly get the thing done by the date that I need to get it done at. So I try not to stress about it too much. So I want you to rest, I want you to relax, give back to you, go on that vacation, go and take that walk, go and meet up with that friend during dinner times, hang out, catch up with people that you haven't seen in a while, give back to yourself. You're gonna appreciate that, and I think that these previous 4 tips are really going to allow you to do this last one where you can really relax and rest and give back to yourself. So I hope that you guys found these 5 tips to be very useful, very something that you can take back very easily and start implementing it right away to make your summer the most productive, and hopefully you have a really easy start to the beginning of the year. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I truly do appreciate it. I would love for you to share this out with some educators that might like to see some of this content on this channel. Also, make sure to give the video a thumbs up, and or is it a like? Is it a like? Is it a thumbs up? Bless it, I haven't been on YouTube for a while. I'm sorry about that, y'all. But please make sure that you are subscribed to this channel for more information about just education, organization, all of the theories, everything that's out there. I love me some literacy, so subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will catch up with you guys later. Bye.